The Skelly Oil Company presents Captain Midnight. Captain Midnight, brought to you 3 times each week by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. But say, fellows and girls, have you got that grand free gift I told you about the other day? That swell big new picture of Captain Midnight and his 2 young friends, Chuck and Patsy? Well, if you haven't, you better stop by your Skelly service station for your copy the very next time you're out in the family car. Because you'll certainly want to have one of these marvelous pictures as soon as you see them. Remember, you can't get these pictures anyplace else in the world. They're not for sale anywhere. And they're autographed to you by Captain Midnight and Chuck Ramsey and Patsy Donovan themselves. They're standing right in front of Captain Midnight's speedy monoplane. And they're all dressed in their flying suits and helmets, ready to take off. It's the kind of picture every air-minded fella and girl will be proud to own. So listen, why not be the first one in your room at school to have one? Wouldn't that be fun? Well, here's all you do to get this swell new picture absolutely free. It isn't going to cost you a single penny, even for a stamp. You don't need any seals or labels or box tops or anything like that. You just have Mother or Dad stop by your Skelly service station the next time you're out in the family car. Show your Skelly man your Flight Patrol membership card, and he'll give you your free picture right on the spot. If you're not yet a member of the new 1940 Flight Patrol, tell your Skelly man, and he'll show you how to join and get a free spinner medal of membership. That's all free, too. Yes, sir. Just ask your friendly Skelly man about it the next time you're out in the car with Mother or Dad. Now, don't forget, you'll sure want to have that swell autographed picture of Captain Midnight and his 2 young friends, Chuck Ramsey and Patsy Donovan. And they're absolutely free to members of the 1940 Flight Patrol. So stop by your Skelly service station and get your very own free copy of this marvelous new picture tonight. And now to Captain Midnight. The famous pilot, accompanied by Chuck Ramsey and Ma and Patsy Donovan, has found Major Barry Steele and Bud Conley in a deserted part of Mexico, several hundred miles below the American border. Conley, however, is dangerously ill with some kind of tropical fever. Major Steele himself is weak and thin from lack of food. It is now an hour after Captain Midnight made his landing. Patsy and Ma Donovan are caring for the rescued pilot, while Captain Midnight and Chuck are looking over the small clearing in which Captain Midnight landed the plane. Let's listen as Captain Midnight says.
To tell you the truth, Chuck, I knew when I landed here that I couldn't take off again with the plane loaded as it was, even under the most favorable conditions. And now, since I've been on the ground, I know such a takeoff would be impossible.
Gosh, then what are we going to do?
You're going to make the takeoff, Chuck. After watching you take that plane out of the small square in front of the temple, I'm well sold in your ability. And don't forget this. There's 50 pounds difference in weight between us.
You want me to take off with Conley?
Well, I'm not so sure yet, Chuck. It depends on what Mrs. Donovan says about his condition. I may have you take off alone, go for help, and then return. Or we may decide to take a chance in sending Conley with you.
Is Conley's condition very serious?
Yes, Chuck, I think it is. Mrs. Donovan hasn't said much. But what she hasn't said carries more weight than spoken words. I've seen a lot of tropical fever, Chuck. It's bad.
But Ma Donovan's doing all she can to check it, isn't she?
Oh, of course she is, Chuck. But don't forget, we're not equipped like a hospital. All we've got is a few quinine tablets.
Oh, gosh. If the wind would only change.
Yes, we'd better pray for that. Because I'm afraid Bud Conley's life depends on it.
I've been looking at the field again, Captain Midnight. But there just isn't any other way to get off.
No, Chuck. I've studied this clearing from every angle. A shift in the wind is our only chance.
Of course, if I'm to take off alone, or even with Conley, we can do a few things to lighten the plane without dumping any gas.
Sure we can, Chuck. I'm taking that into my calculations. Now, I figure we'll take out the right front seat, the 2 rear seats, and clean out the baggage compartment. We could even take out part of the wall leading from the cabin to the baggage compartment and fix a place for Conley on the floor.
Sure, we can do all those things, and they'll help a lot, too. Oh, gee.
What's the matter now, Chuck?
Well, I was just thinking. We don't know how far away from civilization we are, and it certainly isn't likely we could get Conley out on foot. Or do you think we could?
No, Chuck, no. I don't think there's a chance. We might start and find it would take a couple of weeks to get out. We haven't got enough provisions for a trip like that. And our very existence would depend on our ability to shoot game for food.
And in the meantime, Conley would die.
Yes, that's certain.
So our only hope lies in using our plane. And we're even prevented from doing that.
Yes, I know. Well, come on, Chuck. Let's go back to camp and see how Major Steele and Conley are getting along.
Okay, let's go. Oh, I certainly hope he's going to be all right.
Hello, Chuck.
Well, how's everything, Patsy? How's Major Steele?
Well, I can speak for myself now, thanks to Patsy and Mrs. Donovan. That broth they gave me has made me feel like a new man.
Well, I'm certainly glad to hear that, Barry. You look a lot better, too.
Yes, I feel I'm going to live now. But before you got here, I had my doubts.
How's Bud Conley?
You'll have to ask Patsy about that. She was in to see her mother a couple of minutes ago.
What about it, Patsy?
Well, I just helped Ma give him some more quinine, but I'm afraid he isn't any better.
Did Mrs. Donovan take his temperature?
Yes, it was 104 and a half.
Good night. 104 and a half. Well, that's pretty high, isn't it?
Yes, it's plenty high, Chuck. You can't stand that very long.
Yes, I know we can't. We're going to get him out of here just as quickly as we can. But for the time being, our hands are tied.
Well, that doesn't sound very good. What did you find out when you looked at the field?
We found out this much. A takeoff can't be made until the wind shifts to the north.
What direction is it blowing from now? I can't feel any breeze down here.
No, we're protected under the trees. But the wind is coming from the south.
And it's got to shift around to the north, you say?
That's it.
But gee, Captain Midnight, the wind might not shift for days.
Yes, I know. That's true, Patsy. And if it doesn't shift, it's going to put us in a bad situation.
You mean us or Bud Conley?
Well, primarily Bud Conley. But it may put us in a bad situation, too. We only have provisions enough for a few days. And so far, I haven't seen a bit of game.
No, it's plenty scarce, and I can't understand it, because this is a wild country.
Oh, by the way, I was going to ask you, have you done any exploring? That is, before you became so weak?
Yes, both of us. Before Conley got sick, tramped around for miles, but we didn't find a sign of human life. We could only estimate our position roughly, and from the map, we were afraid we were some distance from any town. We considered starting out on foot, but finally decided it would be more dangerous than staying with the ship.
I think you made a wise decision. If you had started to walk out and then Conley got sick, you'd have been sunk.
Yeah, there isn't the slightest doubt about that.
Gosh, Major Steele, you probably thought that when you didn't come back to us, that we'd start looking for you.
No, Chuck. I had very little hope of that. The situation being what it was, when I left you, I was afraid your hands would be full.
They were, Barry. Only too full. As a matter of fact, I think we were lucky to get away as quickly as we did.
Well, go ahead. Tell me about it. There isn't anything we can do for the time being. Mrs. Donovan is taking care of Conley, and you can't make a takeoff until the wind changes. So let us know what happened.
Well, the thing you'll be most glad to hear is that Senor Pareda and his daughter Dolores are safe.
Well, thank heaven for that.
And that's the good news we have, Major Steele. But we've got some bad news, too.
Bad news? What could be bad news after that?
Chuck's right, Barry. We do have some bad news for you. Now, you remember that you and Conley were trapped in that deserted cabin on the edge of that little mountain field where you landed?
I'll say I remember. That was one of the narrowest escapes I ever had. We couldn't get out of the shack because the place was surrounded by armed men. And then, the dirty rat set fire to it.
And if you hadn't found that hole in the floor leading to the old mine shaft, you wouldn't have had a chance.
No, Chuck. Conley and I would have been just as dead as that old tree trunk that you were sitting on.
But I still haven't told you the bad news. Who do you think those men were working for? The ones who had you trapped?
I haven't got the faintest idea. Mexican bandits, I suppose.
It was a lot worse than that, Major Steele.
You tell him, Chuck.
Okay. Well, Major Steele, those men were working for Ivan Shark.
Ivan Shark? Well, what do you know about that?
Yes, it was Ivan Shark. He'd stolen Senor Pareda's hacienda and was trying to make away with both the Pareda treasure and the huge herd of cattle owned by the Pareda estate.
Why, it seems almost incredible. But what's the bad news?
Well, when things ended, Ivan Shark escaped.
Escape? Huh. Well, cheer up, Captain. After all, you're all alive and have your health. We'd better be thankful for that.
And we are, too. But it would have been a lot better if we had captured Ivan Shark.
And we almost had him in our hands, too, Major Steele. The morning he escaped, Captain Midnight and I missed capturing him by about a minute.
Well, a minute can be like 24 hours sometimes, Chuck. Some of the minutes I've been through lately have been like that.
And another bad thing. Shark's chief lieutenant, his daughter Fury, an Oriental named Fang, and a fellow named Gardo all escaped with him.
Did he escape by plane?
Yes, Barry. In that same plane Shark was flying when he was going under the name of Douglas Chadwick.
Yes, I remember. A bi-motored silver-winged monoplane.
That's it.
Same plane passed over this place the day before yesterday, about noon.
What?
I thought sure the pilot would see the torn wings of the Squadron on top of the trees.
Loopin' loops. What do you know about that?
Wait a minute. Which direction was he flying?
Almost straight north. The same course that you were flying.
Oh, gee, Captain Midnight. Why, Shark must have headed for the United States.
Evidently, because Conley and I were flying on the same course. We were headed for the nearest United States border.
Well, of all the nerve.
Oh, I wish I knew where he was headed.
Well, there's no telling about that.
Well, I wish I had known who was flying that ship. I'd have tried to broadcast a warning. So I guess it wouldn't have done any good, because you're the only ones who heard my call for help.
But you haven't told us what happened to you, Barry.
Well, there isn't very much to tell. As I said, we were headed for the nearest point on the border. About 100 miles after we left you that morning, the engine began to overheat. But it was very gradual, otherwise I would have turned back.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. The gas you had wasn't suitable for the Spartan's engine. But then what happened next?
Well, as the engine got hotter, we started losing revs. And then, little by little, we started losing altitude. There was only one thing to do, keep on going. I thought there might be a chance to keep the plane in the air until we got across the border. But finally, even after we'd thrown out everything that we could, we were right over the treetops. At last, I saw we couldn't make it. I was trying to pancake into that clearing ahead when we mushed into the trees.
That must have been a terrible moment.
We thought we were finished, I can tell you that. But we had strapped ourselves in tightly and weren't going very fast. And when we started scraping in the treetops, I started pulling the nose up. Succeeded in killing some speed that way.
Well, Barry, you and Conley are lucky to be alive. Come on, Chuck. Let's get back to the plane. We've got a job to do.
Okay, Captain Midnight. What is it?
I'm going to send a code message to the authorities to be on the lookout for Shark's plane. Then, we're going to start lightening the ship so we can be ready when the wind shifts.
Look, there's Ma in the doorway of the Spartan.
Oh, Captain Midnight, can you come here?
No, certainly, Mrs. Donovan. Wait a minute, Chuck. I'll be right back.
Okay.
What is it, Mrs. Donovan?
Please come inside. I want you to look at Mr. Conley.
Oh, yes, of course I will.
I'm afraid Mr. Conley isn't any better.
Yes. Face looks very flushed. Oh, I see you have the thermometer in his mouth.
Yes, and I want you to look at his temperature. Here's the thermometer.
Let's see.
Can you see? What is it now?
Yes. Yes, I see. It's 105.
Captain Midnight, we've got to do something for Mr. Conley. I've done all I could, and yet his temperature keeps going up. That can't go on much longer. If it does, you know what that means.
Bud Conley is in a very critical condition, or Mrs. Donovan wouldn't have brought Captain Midnight into the cabin to tell him what she did. But what can Captain Midnight do? The only chance of helping Conley is to get him to a hospital at once by plane. But the plane cannot take off until the wind shifts, if then. What will happen? Tune in Monday to Captain Midnight. Remember, get your very own free picture of Captain Midnight and his two young friends, Chuck and Patsy, at your Skelly service station the next time you're off in the family car. It's something every young friend of Captain Midnight should have, because it's autographed by the three most famous members of your own 1940 Flight Patrol: Captain Midnight, Chuck Ramsey, and Patsy Donovan. They're all dressed in their flying suits and helmets, too. Say, people sure will know you're a real aviation fan when they see this picture up on the wall of your room. And, of course, the best part of it is, this swell picture is absolutely free to every member of Captain Midnight's 1940 Flight Patrol. You just show your Skelly man your membership card and get your free picture right then and there. So remember, when you're out in the family car tonight or tomorrow or Sunday, have Mother or Dad stop by your Skelly service station for sure. Have your membership card all ready so your Skelly man can give you your big free picture without a single moment's delay. Now don't forget to tune in again Monday, same time, same station, for further transcribed adventures of Captain Midnight, brought to you by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. Can some way be found of saving Bud Conley's life? With the takeoff by airplane impossible, are Captain Midnight and his party stranded, beyond reach of help? Be sure to listen Monday. Until then, this is Don Gordon, your Skelly man, saying goodbye and happy landing! The Skelly Oil Company presents Captain Midnight. Captain Midnight, brought to you 3 times each week by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. Skelly, you know, was the originator of tailor-made gasoline and motor oil. The famous Skelly Aeromax gasoline and Skelly Tagoline motor oil. Tailor-made for your weather. But first, tell me this. How many of you fellas and girls stopped at your Skelly service station this weekend to get your free picture of Captain Midnight and his two young friends, Chuck and Patsy? Well, if you haven't got yours yet, let me urge you to get one from your Skelly man the next time you're out in the family car. Because, look, these aren't any ordinary pictures, you know. You can't even buy pictures like this anywhere in the world. But you can get them free at your Skelly service station if you're a member of the 1940 Flight Patrol. And say what's more, this picture is autographed to you by all three of these famous members of your own big radio club. Captain Midnight, Chuck Ramsey, and Patsy Donovan. They're all dressed in their flying suits and helmets in the picture, too. And they're standing right beside Captain Midnight's sleek monoplane. Boy, oh boy, will you be proud to show this swell picture to all your friends. You'll pin it up on the wall of your room, too, I'll bet, and you'll think more of it than almost any picture you ever own. But look, did you know this? You don't have to spend a single penny to get this marvelous picture of Captain Midnight and his two young friends. No, sir, not even a penny for a stamp. You don't need any seals or labels or box tops or anything like that either. All you do is show your Skelly man your Flight Patrol membership card, and he'll give you one of these swell pictures absolutely free right then and there. Just stop at your Skelly service station the next time you're out driving with Mother or Dad. Now, if you're not a member of the 1940 Flight Patrol, your Skelly man will tell you how to join, and that's free too. Why, you even get a free Flight Patrol Medal of Membership that spins. But above all, you'll want your swell new picture of Captain Midnight and those two grand youngsters, Chuck Ramsey and Patsy Donovan. So remember, to get your own free copy of this marvelous picture, ask Mother or Dad to stop in at your Skelly service station the next time you're driving by. Show your Skelly man your Flight Patrol membership card and get your very own autographed picture of Captain Midnight and his friends absolutely free. And now to Captain Midnight. Unless medical attention is obtained for Bud Conley, who is stricken with fever, Conley is liable to die. He, his chief, Major Barry Steele, and Captain Midnight's party are far from civilization in old Mexico. The clearing where Captain Midnight landed his plane is so small that a takeoff from it cannot be made except in one direction, and then after the wind shifts. It is now early afternoon, and Captain Midnight and Chuck Ramsey are standing near their plane on the edge of the field talking things over. Let's listen as Captain Midnight says.
No, Chuck, no, there hasn't been any change in the wind at all. If anything, it's stronger.
Oh, gosh. I was sure hoping that wind would shift. But now there doesn't seem to be any chance.
I'm afraid not. Sky is clear. Certainly looks as if conditions are going to stay as they are indefinitely.
From what Maud Donovan says, I guess Bud Conley must be pretty sick.
She didn't say in so many words, but I don't think she believes there's a chance for him if we can't get him out of here right away.
Gee, isn't there something we can do? Something we hadn't thought of before?
I don't know what it'd be, Chuck. Of course, we might have overlooked something.
You radioed a code message about Ivan Chalk's plane, didn't you?
Yes, Chuck, I did. And at the same time, I sent a message telling him about our situation here. And there's nothing more I could say.
They could drop provisions for us.
Sure. That wouldn't help Bud Conley.
They could drop medicine for him.
Yeah, they could do that, too. That isn't getting him to a hospital, and that's what he needs. It wouldn't do any good for anyone to land here. They'd be in just as bad a fix as we are, unable to fly out again.
Has Conley got a family?
Yes. He's got a wife and 4 children.
Oh, gosh, Captain Midnight, that's terrible. We just can't let him die.
Well, listen, Chuck. I've thought of one thing, but, well, it might take too much time.
What is it, Captain Midnight?
Now, look down the field here. You will probably be the one who has to take off. Now, the plane will be turned around with its tail right between these trees. The takeoff will be straight ahead toward the north. You see that, don't you?
But I see those tall trees in the way.
Yes, you're right. And that's the plan I had in mind.
Well, gee, Captain Midnight, and what about those trees?
Now, look. Take a careful look, Chuck. And just try to imagine what it would be like if some of those trees weren't there.
Why, if it weren't for 3 or 4 of those high trees, there'd be a lot more room for a takeoff.
Absolutely, Chuck. As a matter of fact, if just 3 of those trees were out of the way, it'd make all the difference in the world. In fact, I think that you, weighing less than I, could take off at Bud Conley, even downwind, with those trees gone.
I could do it. I'm sure I could. But how can we get rid of those 3 trees? Look how big they are.
Yes, that's the whole trouble, Chuck. All we've got is a very small hatchet. It would take days to chop through those big trunks.
And also, you wouldn't know which way they were going to fall.
Well, I don't think that'd make much difference. The wheels of the plane would be off the ground before you got that far. If those 3 trees were out of the way, we could get Conley out of here even if the wind doesn't change. Yeah, but I'm afraid there's no way to get them down short of a tornado.
Do you suppose there's anything else we could take out of the plane to make it lighter?
Oh, no. We've done all we can. Anything else would weaken the structure.
Yes, I guess you're right. But gosh, Captain Midnight, what are we going to do anyway? I mean, when we do get out. Well, we can't stay here forever, even if we are too late to save Conley.
Well, the first thing we've got to do, that is after we get across the border from here, is to go back to Senor Paredes Hacienda for Pinky Drake and Slim Pool. Then put Pablo in that flying school. And then
Yes, but what about you? What's going to happen to you?
I've still got that big job in my hands, Chuck.
Ivan Shark?
Yes. I don't know what the pursuit of Shark might lead to. It may take me around the world again before I'm through.
But can't I come along? I've helped you before. Well, at least a little bit.
You've no idea how much you've helped me. And it isn't just the actual help you've given either. It's the company, the companionship that has meant more than anything else to me.
I'm glad to hear you say that. After all, I'm just a kid. I know I make a lot of mistakes, and I'm not, the sort of a companion an older person would be.
I've come to rely on you so much that I wouldn't quite know what to do without you.
And you've been just like a father to me. To be truthful, you've been more than a father to me.
What do you mean, Chet?
Well, it's like this. I don't know whether you've ever noticed it or not, but lots of kids never have any fun with their fathers. They respect them too much. Oh, gosh, I'm getting sort of all mixed up.
No, Chuck, no. You mean that lots of kids respect their fathers so much that they're afraid to have any fun with them?
Well, that's it. That's it exactly.
Mm-hmm.
A kid looks up to his father so much that his father seems, he seems too far away from him.
Yes, I know only too well what you're talking about. Now, Chuck, I've seen hundreds of fathers and sons like that. And I've always said that if I had a son of my own, he certainly wouldn't be like that at all.
You wouldn't be, and you haven't been with me. You take me into your confidence. You let me know what you're thinking about, what you're trying to do, and I guess that lots of fathers don't do that.
No, Chuck, they don't. That's where they make a big mistake. They gradually grow apart, and they finally live in different worlds. The boy doesn't know anything about his father's problems, and the father doesn't know anything about his son's. Except when the boy does something wrong.
And then he gets punished.
Yes, and that tends to separate them farther than ever.
Maybe if the father and son were closer together, the son wouldn't do things that he'd have to be punished for.
You know, Chuck, you're getting to be quite a philosopher.
Well, anyway, I'm glad you and I aren't that way. You know what my problems are, and I know what yours are.
Yes, that brings me back to what started this discussion. It may be that much as we both would dislike it, it would be better if I would work alone for a while.
But why? Honestly, I don't see why.
Well, now listen. You want to be a pilot, don't you, Chuck?
Well, of course. I can fly some now. At least I can get a ship up and down.
Don't say you can. Out of plenty tight spots, too.
But merely being able to handle the controls of a ship, it doesn't make a pilot.
There, you're right. Merely being able to handle the controls of an airplane doesn't make a pilot. That's only a very small part of it. There are probably thousands of pilots who could take a big airliner up from the field, circle it, and then make a perfect landing. But do you suppose that same pilot could take that same airliner off, loaded with passengers, fly from one city to another 700 miles away through tough weather, where he had to fly by instruments and radio, and get his passengers there safely?
There are probably less than 1 out of 10 who could.
Less than 1 out of 10. The percentage is much smaller than that. To be a perfectly competent airline pilot, it takes the ability to fly. That's elementary. Then, beyond that, it takes absolute presence of mind, quick thinking, and above all, the thing that's known as character.
Character? I've heard that word a lot, and yet I don't think I know exactly what it means.
Stability. The thing which can be relied upon. Reliability.
I guess that's important in anything, not just airplane flying.
You're right, Chuck. I rather think that reliability is the most important characteristic in the world.
But to come back to what we were talking about, you spoke about a separation, and you asked me if I wanted to be a good pilot.
Well, now, look here, Chuck. Going around with me, you learn a certain amount, that's true. But you don't learn as much, as thoroughly, as you would if you were going through the regular routine of a flying school.
You mean you want me to go to a flying school?
I think it would be an excellent thing for you. Oh, I'd see you often. During part of the year, your vacations, we could be together. And I'd test you out to see how much you've learned. Then when you get through, I'll put the finishing touches on you.
Gee, and then what?
Well, I don't know. I've got to stay in the flying business, I know that. There are plenty of opportunities for new airlines, Chuck. Yeah, I might start one. You could be one of my pilots. I'll give you an interest in the business, and then when you get good enough, you could be chief pilot.
Gosh, wouldn't that be swell?
You bet. Yes, Chuck, that sounds pretty good. But then, I guess we'd better quit daydreaming and get back to business here.
Oh, just one thing more.
Yeah?
Patsy Donovan can be one of our stewardesses.
That's good. It's a foregone conclusion. And we'll get Steve Donovan and make a pilot out of him, too. And, well, let's see. Are there any other members of the family?
Well, there's Pinky and Slim. What do we do with them?
Oh, yes, Pinky. Say, I know. We'll have them ride back and forth on the line to amuse the passengers with their squabbles.
They sure keep them amused all right. Oh, and don't forget, there's Pablo. He's almost one of the family now.
Oh, sure. Well, we might have a branch going down here into Mexico. He could fly on that division.
Oh, look. Here comes our stewardess.
What in the world have you two been doing all this time?
Well, to tell you the truth, Patsy, I think we've been doing a little daydreaming.
Oh, so that's it. What about the wind? Is it just as strong as ever?
Gosh, I'm afraid it is, Patsy.
Yes, it is. Oh, any change in Bud Conley's condition?
No, he's just about the same.
Well, I'm going back to talk to Major Steele. You better stay here, Chuck, and let me know if that wind changes.
I'll stay too then, because Ma doesn't need me for a while.
All right. You stay here with Chuck. I'll see you both after a while.
Tell me the truth, Patsy. Is Mr. Conley worse?
Yes, Chuck, I think he is. I can tell it by the way Ma acts.
Oh, gee, Patsy, this is terrible. Mr. Conley's going to die of that fever if we don't fly him out of here. Say, what are you looking at?
Quick, Chuck. Look over there.
What is it? What are you looking at? I don't see anything.
The top of that ridge on the right, Chuck. See? Floating up in the air. Why, it looks like smoke.
Smoke. Blazing beacons, Patsy. It is smoke. Maybe this will show us a way out. Maybe it'll mean help. Come on, let's investigate.
Well, can Patsy and Chuck be right? Is it really smoke they see at the top of the nearby ridge? Major Steele said he had explored the region and had found no sign of human habitation. What will Chuck and Patsy discover when they climb to the top of the ridge? Tune in to Captain Midnight. Say, have you got a big brother or a big sister that's away at college? Well, if so, you know how college students like to have pictures of their friends all over the walls of their rooms, don't you? Well, look, they're not the only ones that can have pictures of their friends up in their rooms. No, sir, because you can have a picture nobody else but members of the new 1940 Flight Patrol can even get hold of. A swell big picture of Captain Midnight standing in front of his speedy monoplane with Chuck Ramsey and Patsy Donovan. It's a picture that anybody would be proud to own. And listen, it's free to members of the 1940 Flight Patrol. So remember, to get your free picture, this is all you do. Just stop by your Skelly service station the next time you're out riding with Mother or Dad. Show your Skelly man your Flight Patrol membership card, and he'll give you your very own autographed picture of Captain Midnight and his friends absolutely free. Now, don't forget, stop at your Skelly service station for your free picture tonight. And don't forget to listen Wednesday, same time, same station, for further transcribed adventures of Captain Midnight. Brought to you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. Have Chuck and Patsy found a means of escape from the forest wilderness in Old Mexico so that Bud Conley's life can still be saved? What does the smoke mean? Be sure to listen Wednesday. Until then, this is Don Gordon, your Skelly man, saying goodbye and happy landing!